I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Today is Saturday, October 4th, and I really appreciate you all being here either live or watching on replay. Today, we are going to cover a heavy topic. It's going to be Diddy's sentencing, and most of you all probably already know what the sentence was. It came down yesterday. I did want to address Diddy's statement and then what the judge said to him, and then also Cassie Ventura's lawyer has released a statement. And I will make sure to link, because I'm going to be reading from a few different sources. I will make sure to link those in the description a little bit later, because I like to give you all the sources of where I'm getting information. If you would like to see a lawyer's breakdown of this, so I watched Natalie Lawyer Chick reviewed Diddy's pre-sentencing statement, and then she also did a video reacting to the sentence, and she clarified things regarding federal time. And so Natalie did a really, really great breakdown of that. And so, hey everyone, welcome. Hey to everyone in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Especially to members, and then to just everybody else. I so appreciate this community. And I wanted to start with Diddy's statement, because he did for the first time acknowledge, so in the in his letter to the judge, where he's of course trying to request probation. He wants to get home to his kids as soon as possible. His mother is sick. And so a lot of this, I personally think, is a plea to the judge to be able to be released early. The judge, so Natalie Lawyer Chick did a great job reviewing, because I think the recommendation given was, I think, 5 to 7 years based on his pre-sentencing report. That was the recommendation that was given. The judge gave 4 years and a few months, and so he did come slightly lower than what that recommendation was. And the prosecution wanted 11 years. Diddy was facing a maximum of 20 years, but it was really unlikely that he was going to get anywhere near 20 years, because that would probably be for somebody that was like a repeat. I don't know, like, to get the top of that, it's because it's what the jury found him guilty of. Okay. So he was not found guilty of some of the other things. I also wanted to address, and I have other videos where I've talked about this, because a lot of people were like, well, if some of the victims had come forward sooner, then there could have been legal action at the state level where he likely would have faced more time. But that, when you come out of a relationship that you thought was love, and then later you find out, wait a minute, I was manipulated, I was controlled, this was not consensual, I was drugged, or I was encouraged to do this. When a person kind of comes to those realizations, they're not always in a place to say something at that moment, because they have to be able to go up on the stand and not only tell their story, but also deal with all the backlash from every other side. I am so thankful that Cassie Ventura had the courage to come forward, because I think she is the one that got this whole thing in motion. I don't know if Diddy would have faced the federal charges if Cassie hadn't come forward. And her complaint had so many, because it had Kid Cudi's car being blown up. Like, her complaint had all of these things that they could go back and they could find evidence of, and other people to corroborate her story. And so I still feel like I am just so thankful and grateful that Cassie came forward, because Diddy's eyes to the public, because before this, we probably all knew that he was I don't know, but I didn't know that it was to this extent, and that it was criminal, possibly, that it was potentially criminal behavior. I had no knowledge that there were these they call them freak offs. Like there were these parties, there was all of this, there was all of these things happening. And I don't think Diddy will ever be able to go back. And hopefully he's changed, hopefully. But if he hasn't changed, victims will come forward sooner, because I think people are going to be aware of like what could happen. And I think the victim would be believed sooner if something did happen down the road. And I hope he's changed. I hope he does therapy. I hope that he does the things that he said in his statement, because he acknowledges that the role of substances in his behavior, and that does not excuse. So substances do not excuse behavior. And he acknowledged the rage. He acknowledged some of those things. He acknowledged that, especially with the Cassie video, if somebody had done what he did to his daughters, how he would have seen that. And so, okay, he was able to say those things. Time will tell if he has truly changed, and I'll never know if he truly has or not. Um, and I see in the comments, so I know Peter covered this as well. And I agree, Sarah, only time will tell if he truly has humbled himself. I but if nothing else, there will be this fear, because in the past, I think he thought bad boys for life, like that I think he thought he was untouchable and that nobody could ever come for him. Like, I think he had this gangster mentality that he was above it all. Like, he was too famous, he was too rich, that there was nothing that his money, power, and connections couldn't get him out of. I truly think he thought that was true. And Natalie Lawyer Chick clarified that federal prison for the crimes he's been convicted of, he's not going to the Martha Stewart, the nice federal, he's going to where like the people that do capital M and people that are R word, or like he's not going to be on that, like the nice ritzy side of federal prison. And so um he's also started a program, and I just hope he doesn't start a cult. Like, I always worry because he has all the leanings and the personality characteristics in general. So I don't know him personally, but the things I've heard, like when I hear that he's working to help other people improve, I'm like, but are we ready for that yet? Like, how, like, keep working on you. Like, I don't, but sometimes with AA, sometimes with people are thrown into helping others rather quickly, or using their skills, using what they can do, turning this painful situation into purpose. People are encouraged to do that quickly. I just hope he doesn't start a cult. That's just what I would worry about. And Afton said, I'd be worried he would go too far. For people to keep quiet if he hasn't changed, and like that somebody might not be able to tell. And so I do hope that that he has changed. I hope. And that's what he used to say, more money, more problems. But all right. But I don't, and so that I okay. So let's see. So I read Diddy's statement, and I'm glad the judge did give him time that really, because the judge could have given even less time. And so I am glad that the judge did do that. It's my understanding that Diddy's children gave statements, especially his daughters, who have also lost their mother, Kim Porter. They really talked about the importance of him in their life and their role and all of those things. And while and I agree with Natalie, it breaks my heart that they were put in that position, but they probably enjoyed doing something, like trying to stand up for him or to say something, because if they hadn't said anything, they might have felt powerless in that moment, or in this situation. And so his actions did hurt his children. And I do hope that his sons and his daughters that consent. So consent should be enthusiastic. We talk about consent tea. So, would you offer tea to somebody who's asleep? Would you offer tea to somebody that says no? Like, if somebody says no to tea, are you going to keep asking them tea? So, if we talk about intimacy almost like it's tea, that consent should be enthusiastic. And hey, if somebody's drinking tea and then all of a sudden they realize, oh, I don't want any more tea. So, just that nobody is above consent, and that consent is incredibly important. I just got a new book. So there is an EMDR specialist. Her name is Anna Gomez. And so she has a book, Let's Have a Visit with Our Feelings. I haven't read it yet because I just got these in the mail. And then, so I'm going to start doing EMDR with children. And she also has a book, Dark Bad Day Go Away. So for any therapists that do EMDR, Anna Gomez has, and this is not sponsored, like I get nothing, like I paid full price for all these things. And then I haven't gotten a chance, I haven't even opened this one yet. So there is a thoughts kit for kids. I haven't even opened this one yet. And so I'm gonna play with that a little bit later. And then I also have my helpers and protectors. That sometimes people's behavior can be that's something that's trying to help or protect them, but it might be maladaptive. And so I'm gonna practice this with children first, and then I might end up using some of these resources with the adults that I work with as well. Oh, yes, yes, yes. And so often I will check to see if these books are available, especially so the book that could be used, because I think the EMDR one is specifically for therapists that are doing EMDR with children. So this would be like a clinician book. Um, this one that's about accepting and tolerating feelings, this could probably be for anybody. So I will see if where this book is available, and I will make sure to put links down in the description. So it's Anna Gomez, ANA Gomez, and I got all of these things directly from her website. But I will see if these resources are available anywhere else. And Sarah, I saw, and I've, mm, uh, I'm Googling something because, okay, okay. Um, so Diddy's mom, it's my understanding, it's alleged. So according to a documentary, The Making of a Bad Boy, and I don't know if this is true, but there are allegations that she used to host um sexually charged parties in their home during his childhood, and that he may have been desensitized to some of this as a child, and that's a problem. So children should not be exposed to adult material. And there is a line that I think should not ever be crossed, and that's adults and children. Like, that's, I hate to have to say that, but in this day and age, I'm glad that more male victims are realizing that males or females that are older should not be. So, like, a high school student shouldn't, the teacher shouldn't be inappropriate, or even middle school. Sadly, I've also heard instances of elementary school, like this, even going as young as that. And so I think it's really important that we talk, and it's never the child's fault. Okay. So I don't care if a child, I've never had this happen to me. I try to have really good boundaries with my clients. But if for some reason I thought there was a teenage or a client of mine that was hitting on me, or that liked me like that, or was doing, I first of all, I would have a conversation with that child. I would then have a conversation with their parent, and then we would discuss, because I might have to have that parent in sessions. I might leave my door open because I want to make sure. And then we might have to discuss, if this isn't something that we can work through, if this person can't put that aside to do the work, then we might have to talk about would you work better with a male therapist? Or is there something else that needs to be addressed or that needs to be worked on? And that can be really helpful and healing for adults to set appropriate boundaries for children. And I'm all about I worked way too hard for my license. I've been a licensed psychologist since 2010, practicing under my own license. I started in the field in 2005 under supervision. And so like I value, and also I also want my clients to be protected. Um um yeah, I agree that the Epstein case is, yeah, a lot hasn't worked well with that. So I don't, because sometimes the victims in these cases get blamed, or like if there's a 17-year-old. So that's where some, but like to me, if there's a 17-year-old and the adult is a teacher or a coach or a pastor, because you are in a position of authority. And I also don't think just like waiting until they turn 18 and then magic like that, because there can still be grooming and stuff that happens before that individual turns 18, which is problematic. Okay. Um, it's problematic. Now, when I was 17, I had like I met a guy and he was like 20 years old. And nothing like I think we went to the movies one time, and he broke up with me because I wouldn't apply to his college. He went to Charles Newport University, Christopher Newport University, CNU, and I got into Virginia Tech. Like Virginia Tech was my dream school. I did not want to go to school in Newport News, Virginia, and like, and he literally he was like, "You're not trying to be with me," and I didn't tell him. Like, I just want a prom date. Like, I really, really just wanted a prom date. But to me, so like I was 17, but he wasn't like a coach or pat. Like I met him organically, and like okay. But now like he shouldn't have been dating a high school student, but that's okay. Like that probably it's its own thing. Um like so I might have considered applying to VCU, but not there's nothing wrong with Christopher Newport University. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But it was like 10 minutes from my house. I grew up near Hampton, Virginia, and so I didn't want to stay. Like that was his college. I didn't want to stay there. It became a thing. And so but when there is an adult and a child, but like and that adult is in a place of authority, that can cross boundaries. And I think boundaries are incredibly important. And sometimes adults, either consciously or subconsciously, get into these positions because they have bad intentions. And I think we have to talk about that. And there has to be really good vetting. I think I heard of a case where some fourth grade students had told other teachers, like, "Hey, this guy, like one of the other teachers, he's looking at our bodies." Like fourth graders let other teachers know that, and I think, and later down the road, they did find out that this individual was being inappropriate. But like that's a huge red flag. Those are red flags. And so I do think that can sometimes happen. Let's get to what the judge said to Diddy. Okay. And so I'm not going to cover it all. I'm just going to kind of graze over parts of it. um the judge talked about a substantial sentence must be given to send a message to people that harm. So it's the A word, but YouTube doesn't like that word. People that harm others and victims alike, that harm women, is met with real accountability. So that this type of harm against women is met with real accountability. The judge also said that he wanted to address Cassie and also Jane Doe. And so the judge said to Miss Ventura and the other brave survivors that came forward, I want to first say we heard you. I know your families are proud of you, and your children, when they are old enough, will be proud of you. I am proud of you for coming to court to tell the world what really happened. Um, The judge also addressed Combs, so addressed Diddy before he adjourned court for the day. I know you feel like you're in a dark place right now, but these crimes were serious ones, and your violence, coercion, and abuse have had devastating consequences for the women involved, women who loved and depend on you. He told Combs that based on the many letters that his supporters submitted to the court ahead of his sentencing, he has a universe of people who love him. You and your family are going to get through this. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And so the judge kind of goes into to all of that. Um, all right. All right. And so, as I mentioned, he was sentenced to 4 years, 50 months, which I think is 4 years and 2 months, for the two trafficking. But like it was like crossing state lines, or it was like human, like taking people across state lines. It was something like that for the purpose of um yeah. So there's certain words I can't say on YouTube. All right, so let me get to what Cassie's lawyer said. Okay. While nothing can undo the trauma caused by Combs, the sentence imposed today recognizes the impact of the serious offenses he committed. We are confident that with the support of her family and friends, Ms. Ventura will continue healing, knowing that her bravery and fortitude have been an inspiration to so many. And I agree. I think a lot of people came forward that never would have, and not even just financially, but even a part of this criminal thing. And then also like, hey, he was in a position of power, and like maybe there is some harm, and people should look into what financially can come of what they've endured. Leading up to his sentence, Cassie also wrote a letter to the judge pleading to consider her and the other victims' experience. And she said that her testimony in court was the most traumatic and horrifying chapter in my life, and often having to retell it, especially right in front of the person that did all the things. And this is what our legal system requires. If there are children, sometimes there can be things passed. So I have advocated for children that have been harmed to not have to be able to meet with the judge, and that the defendant watches via like Zoom, or like watches, but they're not in the room. Because I've worked with some children that just they emotionally they were not going to be able to speak in front of that individual. The ones that can do it in front of them, sometimes it makes their testimony more impactful. Uh, but I don't blame, or like it's understandable why some people just can't. It is completely understandable. And I have worked with people that have been harmed, and they decided, like, just because the court process prioritizes the rights of the defendant, and the victim is dragged through the mud. So there is often minimal protection given to the when I say minimal protection, I mean the victim, what they were wearing, any past, I don't know, like let's say whatever the victim's history is, all of those things often come into court because the defendant is trying to discredit the testimony. And so if I do have somebody that's on the victim side pressing charges, I want to get them ready for what the defense is going to try to do to their character. Like they have to emotionally prepare for that. It can really be a lot. It can really be a lot. All right. And so let me see if there was anything else. Um, Cassie mentioned, I still have nightmares and flashbacks on a regular everyday basis and require psychological care to cope with her past. I do hope so. EMDR can be a very helpful, it helps the brain reprocess experiences and also help disconnect any negative thoughts that the person has about themselves based on the incident. So if a person thinks back to the worst part of a bad event, and if their thought is, it was my fault, I shouldn't have went there, I should have known, whatever the person's thought about themselves, that we can work through that, and then also get to the point where they're believing something that's healthier. Like, I did the best I could. I'm safe now. Like that we can install a more positive thought later. All right. Let me see. Um, so Cassie said, "My worries that Sean Combs or his associates will continue to come after me and my family is a reality. I have, in fact, moved my family out of the New York area, and I'm keeping as private and quiet as I possibly can because I'm scared that if he walks free, his first actions will be swift retribution towards me and others who spoke up about his abuse at trial." And yeah, I think that's a valid concern. She testified for 4 days during the first week of his trial. 4 days. I don't I don't know that I've ever seen and I don't know if they took a lot of breaks. I don't, but 4 days to get through what happened, and she was also pregnant, okay? She was, I think, 7 or 8 months, like, she was very pregnant, and, we won't and, while I was pregnant, I tried to do my best to manage my own stress because stress hormones can cross that barrier. And there's been research and studies done. We know that what the mother experiences can impact um, the baby's development. And but like and it's not irreversible, so it's that doesn't mean that, okay, if a mother is incredibly stressed during pregnancy, that the baby is definitely going to whatever. But um with there's a model called the diathesis stress model where it's like, okay, so stress happens, and that can sometimes somebody already had a predisposition for a particular diagnosis. And when you add stress, that can sometimes increase the likelihood that that genetic predisposition will come to play. And so when that whole I did a whole video on it, but I can mention it here again because the study with Tylenol and autism, so acetaminophen and autism, a big thing that we know does impact neurodevelopment is if a mother had high fevers, if mother was chronically sick, if there were things like that happening, and no matter what type of treatment the mother received, if a mother was very sick during pregnancy, we know that that can have an impact on development. It doesn't, but it's not acetaminophen. It's not the Tylenol. It's likely the mother being sick. And so, if people are pregnant, make sure to talk with your doctor. I know a lot of people have fears and concerns, and that's why I put out that other video to just share that, like, correlation is not causation. So just because two things are correlated, because there might be something else that's actually causing it. So like, and yes, okay. So we won't go back down that rabbit hole today. Let me know if y'all have any general questions. Yes, fevers, infections. Yes, that has been well researched and well studied, which means that really, if a mother has a fever, or if somebody's pregnant has a fever, they need to consult with their medical doctor and they need to receive treatment. So toughing it out and not getting treatment and keeping that high fever. So a mother having a high fever while pregnant, that can increase that can cause all types of issues. I'm not a medical doctor, okay, so this isn't medical advice. I have looked at the research. I have listened to medical doctors talk about these things. And when I'm doing history, when I'm doing psychological testing, we often talk about, how was pregnancy, how was delivery, how was like right after, like, have there been any major medical things? Because if I know the pregnancy was really hard and then there were complications, a child was maybe preterm, they were in the NICU for a long period of time, and like that can just impact things down the road. And so, yeah. Yes. And so often, And so, for a low grade fever, especially for a person that isn't pregnant, because the body can fight off low. So our doctor, even when once our kiddo got to a certain age, our doctor would say like, "Hey, if your child has a fever of 99, but like they have energy, they're running around, they're happy, like, or even if they have like depending, our pediatrician what gave us information about like, hey, sometimes the fever is your body fighting off the infection. And so we would be given medical advice about how to manage. Just because a person has a fever doesn't necessarily mean that you should immediately administer medication. If it's a high fever, then yes, of course. But if it's a lower one, our pediatrician said to like look at the other symptoms, to check out other things, because often that can help. All right. Oy, all right. So I so appreciate you all in this community. My anniversary is tomorrow. I had to ask my husband. I was like, "Is it the 5th or the 7th?" And he was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, it's the 5th." And so I will be hanging out with family tomorrow. I will be live again on Tuesday. Not sure. So I am following I think it's Sarah. Y'all know me in names. Sarah Hartfield. Ooh, that case. And Paul from Reporting Live from My Sofa, he has been giving an overview of what's going on in that case, because they are not streaming that one. If she testifies, I hope that the transcript is released later, or that the camera, I hope that something is released later if she does testify, or that they take really, really good notes, because Sarah Hartsfield is charged with unaliving her fifth husband. And I think there was another partner that died, but she said it was self defense. Okay. But there have been houses, I think at least 2 houses that have burned down. There was a plot to unalive her 4th husband's wife because she was mad about custody stuff, and all of this stuff has come into the trial. So Sarah Hartsfield, this case is, woo, it's a lot, and she was not charged with any of those other crimes. And finally, husband number 5, they are so it was insulin, because he had type 1 diabetes. He had a monitor that would have an alert if his sugars got too low. It's my understanding that there were like 10 needles of like insulin needles around him. And Sarah just didn't seem bothered, because it's my understanding the alert had been going off for hours and she didn't do anything. She said she was sick and she couldn't do anything, but she seemed to remove him from life support rather quickly. So there's just some red flags in that one. She's innocent until she's innocent until proven guilty. I'm also following Kouri Richins. So if anybody is following the Kouri Richins case, she is the one that after the death of her husband, she wrote a children's book about grief. And while she was in prison, she also wrote a walk the dog letter. And but that seemed to be given somebody, like there were allegations that it was written in code and that she was trying to get testimony to change. And so one of the main witnesses, the witness that initially said that he was the one that supplied the fentanyl, he has now said that when he made that statement, that he was detoxing, and he does not remember making that statement, and that at that time he was not selling fentanyl, so it couldn't have been him. But her housekeeper said that she received it from him. So that's where the state, but then, okay, so the state knew about this, I guess, in April or something. Like, so the state has known about this for a while, that he recanted. And there are allegations by the defense that the state did not turn that over to them, and that they found out when they interviewed him. And I'm not a lawyer, okay? So lawyer Lee has covered this, and some other people have covered it. I think lawyer lawyer, I think he covered it too, but we will see what happens with that case. Um, the state could still proceed even though the one witness has recanted. There are questions about, did he change his story? Because if he's the one that supplied the drugs that killed somebody, is he criminal? Like, is he liable? Could he be charged with a crime? So there are some people that are questioning, is he changing his story because it's connected to a crime, or did he really not do it? Like, what's really going on? And I don't know that we'll know. Okay. So who knows what what will happen. Yeah, so this is my understanding. So lawyer Lee and some other people have broken this down, and I've watched their telling of all of this. And so we will see. The trial it's been going on for so long. So I thought her last attorney was really pretty. Y'all know, the one with the long hair. She seemed like she kind of had some attitude. I don't know. Like the lawyer that Kouri fired. I thought she was really pretty. Sky. Yeah, Sky was beautiful. Sky was absolutely gorgeous. Um I think her name was Sky. I'm almost positive it was Sky. Kouri Richins, lawyer. Richins, old lawyer. She had like long hair. Yeah, Sky Lazaro. Yeah, pretty sure that's the one. Yeah. So she just has a lot of makeup. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I liked her style. I liked her style. And she seemed like she was like she would go back and forth. I don't know. She had a personality. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Um, any other cases that you all are following? Any other things that you all have questions about before we hop off today? Is she 6'7"? I don't know. She looked really tall. I don't know if she's 6'7". Um, any other questions that you all have? I hope you all have an enjoyable weekend. I did do a video. If there are any federal or government workers that are impacted by the current shutdown, I did do a video talking about that. And the video I did, so it's not so it's just to give people resources because people might need help and support during this time. Um I did not hear that this house was up for sale. I did not. I did not hear that one. Behave and be safe. Yes. And so those are the cases that I will continue to follow. Once again, with Diddy sentencing, the judge, I'm glad that he got any time at all. Natalie Lawyer Chick also mentioned that like you normally do most or all of your time in federal prison. They normally don't release early. State prison is more likely to release early. And so he'll most likely do like most or all of that time. And I will make sure to go back and add the links probably in the next 20-30 minutes. And so, well, all right. All right. And I am so, and I hope that Cassie can have some peace. I think she will continue to kind of stay quiet and off the grid because I think there will always be that concern that even if it's not Diddy directly, that somebody, I don't, people are weird. And she was I think her testimony was very powerful. Her coming forward was huge, and I really, really just wish her peace and happiness and joy, and I hope that she continues to heal. She at least knows that he will be in prison for the next like 2-3 years. I think it's 2 years because he'll get time served for the time that he's already been in prison, and so my heart goes out to her, and I truly wish her and her family all the best. But thank you all so much for being here. I will see you all later on Tuesday. I hope you'll have a good rest of your weekend. Bye.